Hi Aquarius, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for you for the month of June 2025. In today's reading, we're going to be doing a reading that I think I've done once on this channel, and it's called Moving Beyond Illusion. So take a look at this dragonfly, and you would have noticed it on the thumbnail when you clicked on. And it's a picture that my daughter sent to me, I don't know, it was about a year ago or so, and at the time I didn't believe it was real, and I assumed that it wasn't real when she sent it. And so I asked her to touch it, and her response was, "Ooh, no." And then that's when I realized it was just like, wow, this is real, and especially the eyes that looked like pearls. And so it prompted me at that time to make a reading about, well, what sort of things are you believing about yourself that are an illusion, really, that, you know, they're not real? And so that's what we're going to look at this month. We're going to look at things like the false ideas or beliefs that you have about yourself. And, you know, when I bring them up in this reading, it may be something that you're not really aware of, or it could be something that you're very much aware of, and you're kind of going, oh, I just always believed that this was who I was, or I always believed this about myself. And so, I mean, that is the real purpose, I think, in tarot, is that I'm not here to predict the future for you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring something up. I'm going to bring your awareness to something that you need to heal. And so in order to do that, I've decided to use the Deviant Moon Tarot, which is a new deck I've just acquired. And it's a real interesting deck because the pictures will really make you focus on, you know, using your imagination and what's real and what's not real. And so I thought that this was really a good deck to pull out today for this. I'm also going to pull you an oracle card at the end from Return of Spirit. And then to clarify everything, I'm going to use the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And so let's begin. I'm going to pull 3 cards, like I said, from the Deviant Tarot and Deviant Moon Tarot. And we're going to be looking at the false idea that you have about yourself. Now, this false idea that you have about yourself is coming from your shadow. It's buried in your shadow. And so we're going to do that in part 2. We're going to look at what shadow aspect is actually driving or impacting that, because we have to realize that what's sitting in our shadow is what causes all these issues, these beliefs that we have about ourselves that we need to heal, and they're sitting in our shadow. So we're going to pull that out, and then I'm going to look at how you can begin to heal this shadow aspect of yourself, so that you can move beyond this illusion that you have about yourself. You know, I think too many times we're told that we can't do something, or we're not good enough, or we're this or we're that. So you know, I suspect that there's going to be some unworthiness cards coming up, because, you know, I think that's something that plagues us as humans, is this whole feeling of being unworthy to do new things, to try new things, to believe that we can do anything. So let's begin right away. So if I can ask the tarot, and I've pre-shuffled all these cards before I came on. So Aquarius, let's look for some 3 cards for you. What false idea or belief does Aquarius have about themselves that they need to become aware of in June? What are they going to work on in June? What do they need to heal? And this spit out 3, and I'm just going to take the top one. So you have the 3 of, these are wands. Yeah, 3 of wands. Like I said, it's a brand new deck. So 3 of wands in reverse. And what shadow aspect is driving or impacting this illusion? Just want 1 card, please. And it gave me 2. So yeah, I'll take them then. The 4 of wands in reverse, and the 3 of swords in reverse. So you have these cards that are in reverse here. Now, I didn't realize, maybe this is just a deck. There's certain decks that will spit out 2 or 3 at the same time. So let me see if I can just Yeah, let's try it again. Okay, so how can Aquarius begin to heal the shadow aspect so that they can move beyond this illusion of themselves? So how can they heal? What card do they need here? One card. One card for Aquarius. Yeah, I can see how it's going to spit out. Okay, we'll try this. We'll go a little bit slower maybe. All right, one card for Aquarius. How they can begin to heal. There it is. The Five of Swords. Five of Swords. Okay, there's definitely an unworthiness card there. Like I said, I suspect that's going to probably come out in a lot of these readings. All right, so before I forget, I want to pull an oracle card for you. And can I have, tell me some more about the Three of Wands here. A couple more cards here. A couple more cards for the Three of Wands. Okay, you have the Eight of Swords, and you have the King of Swords in reverse. And how about this Four of Wands and the Three of Swords? Couple cards. All right, that one wanted to come out. It was bent here. It was just like Nine of Pentacles in reverse and the Seven of Wands in reverse. And the Five of Swords. Couple cards here. Woo! They wanted to come out. Okay. You have the Sun in reverse, the Four of Pentacles, followed by the Four of Wands. And let's pull an oracle card for you, and I will keep it turned upside down, so we'll look at that right at the end. All right, so let's begin. What false idea or belief do you have about yourself, Aquarius? You start off with the Three of Wands, and it's in reverse. And so, in an upright position, this individual, this figure is staring at these wands, right? And it's a three. It's not the two, it's the three. And so it's like, it's very interesting that the umbilical cord, if you look closely at this card, there's an umbilical cord on this figure. And it's attached to these plants that are starting to grow, and they're fed by you. It's like your creativity is coming out. It's already started to come out. It's bursting to come out. And there's definitely something like it's almost like you're on the edge of wanting to do something for yourself. And when I say creativity, I mean it could be the smallest thing in the world, but the biggest thing for you. And it's something that you're doing for you. It's like, no, this is what I want to do for me, finally, right? I'm putting myself for it first. This is something maybe you've always wanted to do. It's a new idea, something you've been working on, and it's like that. I'm ready. Like, you know, you have the steps, the plan is there. You're ready to do it. But there's some resistance here. It's like it's blocked. It's like, you know, and so we're going to look at, you know, I think I need to look at what's the resistance here. And so, what is it that you believe? And oftentimes I have to go and journal about that and say, you know, I can't do this because I'm not allowed to do this because, and I just write and I journal of why I can't do this. And I think there's, you know, the Eight of Swords comes out for you, and the Eight of Swords talks about this feeling of trapped. Like you're ready to do this, but you're just, I can't do this. I can't step out. I can't. And you know, when you're trapped like this, there can be some real fear behind this. I'm not surprised that you have the King of Swords right behind this. And the sword energy is our mental energy. It's the mental thoughts. It's the things that you're telling yourself. You have 2 swords to back up like this, what your resistance to this is. So definitely what's going on here is you're in your head and you're hearing all these messages that are telling you why you can't do this. And there's an incredible amount of fear here, this 3rd card, this King of Swords, because the King represents our masculine side of us, and that is our ego self. And if there's one part of us that's absolutely petrified, it's our ego. It is the part that wants status quo, right? It's the part of us that protected us when we were younger. And I mean, there's a part of us that says, well, thank you very much, because, you know, you probably needed protection. We all needed protection when we were younger. But our ego self forgets that we're adults now, and it thinks that we're still a child. And so it'll continue to treat us like we're a child, you know, and go, no, you can't go there. And it'll often sound like these things that you're hearing in your head, this resistance right here, these reasons, these excuses why you're feeling trapped and why you can't do this. It'll often sound like the people that raised us, you know, you can't do this because, or you're not allowed to do this. No, don't do that. And there's just this incredible amount of fear right here that is keeping you trapped. And so the whole fear part of this is really an illusion, right? If you try to think of fear, what is it? You know, it's an illusion. It's the illusion that that our ego has. And we tend to believe that our ego, it'll fool us into believing that it's our adult self, right? And so you have this incredible amount of fear that you're sitting with this month, and you're going to feel it. And I know what that feels like because I've been feeling a lot of it myself lately. And I think it's in general, I think a lot of people are feeling fear right now because of what's going on in the world. And it's something that you really have to kind of sit with. And you got to try to get that fear out of your system because it's your ego that's blocking what you want to do right now. And so what's the shadow aspect of this? And what's driving this fear? What's driving this resistance to not doing what you want to do right now, right? Going forward. What's driving this? We have 2 cards that came out, and one was the 4 of Wands. And that's in reverse, and then you have the 3 of Swords in reverse as well. And so the 4 of Wands speaks about it in an upright position. It's like you have this, I mean, again, it's these cards are very imaginative. So, you know, you may look at this differently than I look at it, but I look at it as almost like this spaceship is sitting here in the background. I don't know if you can see the kind of like the opening, the door has opened, and it's produced kind of like this ladder-like effect, and it's, you know, it's waiting there for you. It's waiting there for you to take off, to go into this spaceship, right? But there's this big resistance here. This is your shadow. This is from your childhood. This is from your adolescence. And the 4 of Wands talks about these individuals that have walked away from some sort of situation where they're ready to go into, like I said, this spaceship. They're ready to take off, but there's a real resistance here. And I think when you were younger, this card tells me that you've come from like a real controlling environment where you didn't have that opportunity to express yourself, to do anything. You might have been one that have heard. And the things that you're hearing now, you know how I told you about these are belief systems that you're hearing? These things in your head would have been the things that you were told when you were younger, right? So probably hear the plane in the background. I have the window open. So these are things like, you know, who do you think you are? What are you doing? Like, you can't do this. Oh, these are the kind of things that you're hearing in your head. And because you came from a controlling environment that prevented you from doing this. And I think there's behind that was, you know, look at the pain that's caused you. I think when you were younger, there were certain things that you wanted to do. Maybe you expressed certain things, you had certain dreams and you may not remember them, but you were prevented from doing them, and that caused you some real pain, some real heartache. And so you're sitting with this pain. And oftentimes this pain that you're sitting with, that's sitting in your shadow. I mean, think of yourself as an adolescent, or think of yourself as a child that's told, no, you can't do this, because the frustration in your system that would cause this anger, and behind that would have been these tears, right? That pain, this grief of not being able to do that, this frustration and grief. And you may have been told to put your anger away, or you may have been told, put your tears away. And so you've got that sitting inside of you. And, you have as clarifiers as the Nine of Pentacles, and then the Seven of Wands. And the Nine of Pentacles talks about this individual that has decided to commit themselves to training this falcon right here. And, it brings them great joy. And so this card is like when you were younger, you wanted to commit yourself. You wanted to do something for sure. And it's blocked. And behind that is this individual. In an upright position, the Seven of Wands talks about this individual that is going out alone on this mountaintop. And it's wanting to do something when they were younger, right? It's wanting to go out on their own and just be them and be themselves. And there's these people that are below here that are going, you come off that pedestal. Like, who do you think you are? And so I think it was a really lonely childhood. I heard the word lonely here. Very lonely for you, because you weren't allowed to, I'm going to say, branch off, or you weren't allowed to go and do what you wanted to do. It was very controlling here. And so that's what's going on with you right now, is that, you have this pull, you wanting to do something. You're ready to do it, but you're feeling this incredible fear that's pulling you, that's blocking you, that's stopping you, that's saying, don't you dare, who do you think you are? And so how do you start to heal that? You have some fear here. How do you start to heal that? I mean, how can you begin to heal this shadow aspect? And so the universe has this Five of Swords here. This individual, you notice how he's turned around, and it's almost like he's walking away from something behind him, her, and it's almost like he's sticking out its tongue, right? And I call this card the Five of Swords. Well, it's called the Thief card. Sorry, that's the Seven of Swords. The Five of Swords talks about this. It's my bullying card, actually. I'm getting it mixed up with the Five of Wands, actually, and the Seven of Swords all together. And this is what my bullying card is. And it's like this. He has this grimace on his face. It's like, nah. I've just walked away from. I've won this battle, and I've won these swords, and is walking away. And so this card in particular is, because it's a bullying card, I really usually focus on the victim of this card. It's the victim that has had their sword stolen. It's the one that's been bullied. And because you have this controlling environment here, I mean, there is bullying that has went on. And when you are controlled when you're younger, when you're told you can't do things because of this or because of that, there's a real big amount of unworthiness that we start to feel about ourselves. We start to feel like we don't matter because we can't do these things for ourselves. And we build up the emotion of shame. It's the shame that our caretakers, our parents, our adults that told us we couldn't do these things, they give it to us because they have it, because maybe they weren't allowed to do it. And so they just kind of, it's like that generational trauma stuff, right? That's handed down to us, this shame. And so the universe says, well, I think there's a lot of this shame, this unworthiness that you need to look at right here, because the Sun card comes right under it. And the Sun card is, it's a beautiful card, right? It has this picture of this child and riding this horse, like feeling very free, naked, vulnerable. This card represents for me just pure joy of imagine a child. I love walking on the beach and seeing children playing with the sand and just in pure bliss, sitting there, just being allowed to be a child. And I think here is that this is blocked here because the universe is saying, you know, you have a lot of the shame that blocked you from being a child, being this innocent child that and feeling the joy that children are supposed to feel. And I think here that the Four of Pentacles comes next, and the Four of Pentacles talks about this it's the miser card. It's holding on to things. It's that emotional lacking that emotional stability. And so we start to, maybe we've attached on to other things in our life. And I think there's a real, I mean, I see this individual as the fear here, right? The fear of feeling like they're lacking certain things. This comes up sometimes as, I mean, maybe I'm hearing like it could be, maybe you're fearing that you're being told that you might not have the money to do this. And so this card comes in as it's like, and I think it's something that you need to maybe journal about. And you know, where does that idea come from that you don't have the money? Because oftentimes our ego will come up with, no, you don't have the money to do this. Whenever you hear like you don't have the money to do this, that is definitely our ego. And that is definitely coming from our childhood. You know, whenever this, because we always will have the money. It'll come from somewhere, especially if it's something that we're meant to do. And then finally you have the Four of Wands here. Again, this is the second time this is turned up in this deck, in this reading. So here's your freedom. Here's the freedom here, that it's almost like this universe is saying, you know, you're going to be able to walk. You're going to be able to walk out from those controlling posts here, these wands that have been planted. You know, wands aren't meant to be planted. They're sprouting, they're meant to grow. This creative project that you have right here, it's ready. It's so ready. It's the Three of Wands, and here's the Four. It's ready. You're ready to go. But first there's some real heavy shame that you need to get to, you know, that I think is really important for you. I will leave you with a playlist on shame that I've done on my other channel called Carol Cares, and it's a heavy emotion. And I'll also leave you with one on fear that I've done, because you're dealing with some real fear here that's blocking you, and also some shame. And so let's take a look at the Oracle card for you, Aquarius, and it's called Commitment. That's interesting you got Commitment, because you had the Nine of Pentacles right here that's sitting in your shadow. So what's the Commitment card? And that is page number 32. You are being asked to make some sort of a commitment. It is both a promise and a responsibility. This could be in connection with a relationship, such as moving in together, deciding to get married, or having a child. The Commitment card can also point to other types of commitment, such as starting a new business, planning a vacation with friends, signing up for classes, or taking on any types of long-term project. This commitment is a binding one, and you will not be able to get out of it easily should you change your mind later. This is signified by the bow-like symbol in the fractal image on the card. Whatever the case may be, this commitment does hold soul lessons and was planned before you came. This does not mean that it is either good or bad, but simply means that this is a fated event. You and the others involved in the situation are fulfilling your soul agreements with each other. This card can also be calling you to make a serious commitment to yourself, whether it is to lose weight, quit smoking, start a yoga class, or go for some healing sessions. You may also need to reassess any previous commitments you have made to discern whether it's still right for you. You may be wavering in your decision about a certain commitment. Lean towards the idea that this might actually be the right thing for you to do. Spirit usually replies to the things which are most important to us at the moment. This card acts as a validation that you are heading in the right direction. Wow, I think this is exactly what you needed, right? You were heading in the right direction. And this is, you know, it opened with the Three of Wands, and I said there's somewhere you're wanting to go. And so we need to believe. A big part of our journey is to believe that, you know, follow your intuition. This is where I'm meant to go. All right, take care, Aquarius, and I'll talk to you next month. Bye-bye.